Hello and welcome to the long-awaited Frog Appendix regarding the second generation of the MWS HPA GBBR conversion from Frog Engineering. Finally, the second generation is here. I know a lot of people waited for it. Here it is. It's not that much different though than you might expect. It's kind of similar, however it has some cool new features, and basically in this video I'm gonna explain what's different and what does it change compared to the original manual for the assembly that I recorded some time ago. As the original manual will not be updated, it makes no sense. I would have to record them all the time. There is just this appendix to explain it. So let's dive into details. You see there are actually two versions of the Gen 2 conversion, with the quick connector or with the screw connector. The difference is that in general the quick connector is better for disassembly. So if you want to take the gun apart and clean something, it's better to have the quick connector. However, if your gun doesn't have removable trigger guard and the hose has to run on it or in the original one, like for example in the long-awaited MCX, there will be a video on MCX assembly when I get my hands on one of those, and I will show you the trick with the trigger guard. There the issue is that the hose does not exit straight from the connector. It is bended almost immediately, and if this would be bended almost immediately in the quick connector, it would leak in lower temperatures. I mean like 0 or -5 or -10, something like it. Yeah. So for this reason, this less convenient connector is added for the conversions dedicated to the MCX type guns, where the trigger guard is not removable and the hose has to run somehow under it or in it. This is the first thing. The second thing is that right now, because of the amount of different version of the MWS, there is the EMG, CIMA, Double Eagle or whatever Eagle, Toxicant, HAO, of course the original TM. I don't even know what else should I list. It's pretty hard to guess what size of the rear arm for the bolt catch I should include in the kit, right? From now on there will be always 3 arms included, and you can choose the best one that fits the best basically. So the medium one is always on the conversion. It's actually signed. If you look from this side, there is an M under the arm, and there is also the low and high indicated by appropriate L or H letter on the bottom. Yeah, so when you receive the conversion, you can take off the arm if it's too low, if the bolt catch doesn't work, or maybe it catches too soon, like too often I mean, then you can replace it with the other lever. You don't have to file the original one and so on. What is important is to remember to not remove the front arm, because the hole and this screw, this goes into the gas tank. Yeah, it's under pressure actually. So I use a Loctite type of glue that seals this connection. So if you don't need to, don't remove it, because if you then screw it back, it may cause a leakage in this area. Yeah, so just replace the rear one with the best fit. Next thing is this valve pusher. Still we have to use a custom valve pusher, so the original from TM doesn't fit the FMAG V8, but there is small modification to it. It is optimized for tolerances and it's tiny bit shorter on this side. So previously this was very often happening. Actually it was almost always happening. The issue with the dry farting means it was designed on touch with the firing pin basically, so that there is the biggest displacement. However, it occurred that in most guns, like I said, like 99% of guns, it was too long, and the hammer did not get enough momentum to really push this under pressure, and the valve was basically held in the conversion, not moving. Yeah, the pressure was too strong. Firing pin hit that part, and it just released a tiny bit of gas, and then the pressure would close the valve. Yeah, so to avoid it, this is already shortened, and this is shortened 0.5 millimeters, which for all the conversions right now it should be much easier to avoid the dry farting issue. And the next part, which is probably the last of the features, is this rear part. So I received few questions why the stub on the rear was so small. Previously it was like 4 millimeters deep, yeah, and there is nothing under the button for the release of the magazine anyway, right? So why not to use this space, why not give it a little more stability? So the size is a bit increased. Now you need to mill 6 mm deep groove in the trigger box, right? So I mean in the direction, not the height, yeah? So this is one thing. And the second thing, it has actually holes for 2 screws, which are of course included in with the conversion, yeah? And if you put here those screws, they are completely flush with the conversion on the rear, and you can actually screw the conversion into the receiver. Original idea was that the conversion has to be universal, of course, and it has to fit here, which is very problematic because these ribs, they tend to be of ton of different sizes. And for example, in the Toxicant MCX, they don't exist at all, yeah? Those ribs are not there, so the conversion can basically slip forward, yeah? Which is bad. So right now what you can do, when assembling the gun, you can use those 2 screws. Actually, you don't have to use them if you think this is unnecessary for your case, right? For original AR-15 types, it will fit just the way it was fitting previously without those screws too. But what you can do now is that you can simply insert the magazine and then drop in the conversion, see how it sits, and now basically take a drill, let's pretend this hex key is a drill, or like a pin, and mark yourself those positions of those 2 holes in the receiver, right? Just pin it so that you have a dot, and then when you can remove the conversion, you can remove the magazine obviously, you can drill into the receiver, and the drill will go into this meaty part where the radius is here, yeah? So no issue that it will go through. So this way you can drill in, thread it to M2.5 thread, this is the size of the screws included, and the depth needed is around 8 mm, yeah? So with threading tool, they don't do full thread on whole length, yeah? So you need 8 mm of thread in the receiver, which should be enough with that radius. Of course, in your case, always measure and try to understand if for sure it will be, fine with the position you found for these particular screws. And I'm using a special kind of threading tool. When I need this kind of hole that will be full thread till the end, I start off with the regular threading, so 3 types. First I go with the rough one, then the middle one, then the precise one. And then when it's done, I get a precise threading tool, which is different in the sense that it's basically filed on the tip, so it's not sharp tip anymore, it's flat, but I have full thread profile till the end, yeah? And in this kind of already pre-threaded hole with almost complete profile of the thread, this works, yeah? I can thread it till the end, obviously with oil and so on, like I did in the original manual for all the holes. And with this kind of trick, I can thread it, like I said, till the end. I can then screw it with my screws. They are 10 mm long, so 8 mm goes into receiver, and this way the conversion cannot really move. There are 2 screws, so it won't rotate. And what's important, previously with those ribs here of different sizes, sometimes the conversion was moving forward, sometimes it could be tilted, yeah, you needed to shim it a lot. So with those screws you don't, you just screw it in place and it stays. What maybe would require some shimming is the angle. So it can happen that basically the conversion would be a bit too low, and you can always put something under the tab here on the rear to make it, go a little higher. Yeah, that's the trick. There's one more trick you need to do for the MCX type of guns from Toxicant, but this will be shown in a separate video. It's very similar to the original assembly, to any type of gun, but there is also a small issue with the magazine release button here, because it's extended downwards and would collide with the attachment, and there is not much on the trigger box that actually can push on that part, which is also partially the reason why those screws were introduced. And yeah, as I said, a separate video will be dedicated to this and will show how to do it. And the last update done to the conversion are the tolerances on the pinholes. Previously it was very difficult to push them in. You could always do it, nothing would break, but it was really hard. So now we fixed the tolerances, so the pin here and the smaller one here, they basically will go inside a little easier. So that's it. We were able to improve those conversions with all the things I just mentioned. What is important, although this is a little more complicated right now, we were also able to stay with the same price. So on the Facebook you will see an announcement, probably already it's there, that the conversions are now available, we are accepting the orders, and to them of course the new magazines with plastic instead of resin are already included in the sets. Be sure to get one for your gun. And for now, this is all for this part of Frog Appendix. I believe I made myself clear what's the difference and how to incorporate these new features. As I said, for the MCX type of guns from Toxican, there will be a separate manual recorded when I get a hold of one. And yeah, that's all. So let me know what you think, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave the comments, and may the power of GBBR be with you.